Okay, so we'll be working with, we are done with the user, the post, and now we'll be moving to the increment and decrement, so that when we click on increment, this our value 0 will be incrementing the 1, 2, just like that, and decrementing will be reducing it by -1. So can go ahead now, and this is for the component. This is the component for incrementing and decrementing. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is that I want to create a reducer, a create slice for updating our account, for when there is an update and rendering those data. Okay, so go ahead to our Redux and create a new file, and this file will name it account.js. We are using JavaScript here. Take note, click not TypeScript, using JavaScript. Okay, first of all we have to import our CreateSlice from our form at redux.js/toolkit. Okay, when you are done importing, then you can use it. So create slice, then give an object, pass in an object, and the first value inside of the object is the name that we want our component to have, the component that want to listen for this update to have a count. Let's say counts. Okay, let's say count, so that we want to make it unique, different from our main different from our store. And okay, and we've already explained that when with the new state management library Redux Toolkit, is that it automatically generates the type for us based on the name we give here, the name of the slice, and the action that it will. So it will concatenate the name and the action to form the type. Okay, we'll go ahead and create the initial state. Okay, the initial state, I will give it, let's say an object that we have a count object. Okay, we'll start with 0. Then we have a reducer. Always you must surely have a reducer, is a must. The inside of this reducers, the reducer takes in an object, and this object inside we need to pass our action, and whatever name is specified here, it will be concatenate with your count for each actions. Okay, and you want to make sure that the function that you'll be adding here, the name function that you'll be adding inside of your reducers, you want to make sure they are unique, and it's the naming convention tallies with the use case of it. Okay, so now we just say increment, we get it, then we put in, based on we are inside of an object. Now to create a function inside of an object, you use the column, and you pass in a opening and closing parameters. This is how the arrow function. This is how you create a function inside of an object. Okay, then inside of this object, inside of this action, of this function. So we want to pass in two arguments, which is our state, our initial state, and our actions, our action. Okay, so inside of this our increment button, want to be able to increment. So what I will do is that I will say state dot count, which is referencing this our state refer to initial state dot count. Then we say alright, okay, so go ahead and export this and store this for inside of a variable. So create count slice, okay, then then we export this file with the export default keyword count slice dot reducer, because we are reducing a single reducer. Okay, so then now we need to as well export this increment, this our action increment, whatever action you may specify, you need to export it. So go ahead now and export it. Export. Okay, this we are exporting this. We are exporting it with the export keyword so that we can be able to export multiple function. Okay, now they have to make sure that the increment is there, the name. So our count slice dot actions. This is how we are pulling count slice dot action. If we console count slice dot action, we have the increment function for everything that will be inside of our actions. Okay, we'll go ahead now and I've already exported. So now we need to go ahead and use it. So go to my accounts. Okay, so we'll then now import it here. Import our increment. Okay, from counts, from our account increment. Oh, sorry. Then this is our increment count. So on when we trigger for on click on this, on click on our increment to load it. So let me expand this state so that it will be easy for you to see. Okay. Alright, let me expand this as well, because okay. So this increment now is a function, is our action creator that accepts the payload, and this is the type, which is this increment. So we need to pass two arguments. We need to pass an argument to in our increment instead of our count function, and this it takes, and this our increment. We need to dispatch something to it. So now the way we can do it is this: Redux Toolkit. This package Redux Toolkit, Redux himself gave us a library that allows us to dispatch action into of this CreateSlice to make the connection to push data, to push updated data to this, to push data into this CreateSlice. to go into our actions and to update the state and render it to the components, to this our component. So to the library now we need to import is, okay, go ahead and import something from React Redux, this package with React Redux. You'll go ahead and import that. You use dispatch, as you can see. You use dispatch hook. So what we want to do, we want to create a function so that we can be able to dispatch. So this function, I will just say increment handler. Okay, you can name it whatever you want. Handler, I mean to spell. Sorry for my spelling. This takes an empty object. Then inside of this, we can just create an object. We can just, okay, let's just create, okay, let me just create it. Because let me just create it. Count or count, whatever name you prefer. You just say one. Okay. So now I will say I'll call my use dispatch hook. Use dispatch hook. Okay, which is coming from our React library. So we'll store it inside of a variable. We should just store it inside of dispatch. You can name it whatever you want, as always. So just go ahead now and say dispatch and call the dispatch action, our action. You can see the action. Our action now is the increment, and the increment, you remember that it takes an argument, and this argument is just a single payload. It takes. So this payload now will not be our what we want to send, which is our accounts. Then inside of this we can dispatch when an on-click event occurs. We want to dispatch the increment handler. Okay, this is it. Okay, it says we need to update it to have a bigger word. The first letter will need to be big. That is the rules of React when we are using a hook. So go ahead. Okay, let's make this connection. Let's get our state. So one thing we are not doing is that we have a state, but we are not rendering our state, so that when the state gets updated, we can be able to see it. So let's do that. So we have gotten also React will give us a hook, another hook that helps us to render our state. So let's go ahead and import that hook. It is called the use selector. I'm just trying to pull out the function that we need. So go ahead now and just store it inside of a variable. Let's say the state, or let's say count state, whatever name you prefer. It's okay. Use selector hook. Okay, and this takes a single argument, which is our state, or let's say the count. Let's say the count. And inside of this count, you say the count dot the count. Okay, it's okay. Say the count dot our store. So now our store is unknown, so we can go ahead now and make the connection so that our store can know that we have a count slice reducer, a count slice actions, and we can our store will be able to know that, hey, this function, this component, this app has an increment action, and it also has a count, a state of count. Okay, you can go ahead to our state and import it So we say the counts user, just like we did for users and posts. You can go ahead say dot slash reducer redux, sorry to say, slash counts, then omit the file extension. You can go ahead now and just say, let's say counts, so that it will be different from our state. So and this name is what you want to pass in. So you say the counts reducer. Okay. Alright, you can go ahead and now we have made the connection between our count slide and our store. So let's go ahead now. Make sure this exact name matches your store, matches your counts dot. You can see it will give us counts dot. Then now we are now referencing our count, which is in lowercase counts. Okay, this will not be our state, so we can just say our count state. Okay, let's see if the data is rendered successfully. Okay, so we can go ahead and click increment. Nothing is working. Why is that? Okay, let's go ahead and recheck what we are doing wrong. So if we click on, so this count will be coming from count. So now referencing this count. Okay, let's go ahead and console. Let's see if our dispatch is reaching here. So you can say our action. Okay, then here I will just say comment so that we see where it's coming from. Go ahead and refresh the page and click on increment. You can see it's working. We are dispatching here. Then payload. Okay, let's go ahead and update this on. Okay, see what we are doing. We need to state okay as smaller word state dot count equal to this will now be our changes. We'll go ahead now. It will be reflected with +1. You can see 1. Click on 2. Click on 3. You can see click on 4, 5. Just like that. It will be incrementing as you click on, as you continue to type. So, but ideally we are just passing the data here. So we are passing our number, our value here. So it will be best to just get it from this component instead of just manually doing it inside of our card. So go ahead and say action dot payload dot. Okay, let's see again what we are getting. Okay, dot count. Okay, action dot payload. Let's just see what action we get. I'm definitely that is count. You can see the action. Okay, just action dot payload, which is 1. So that is it. Just action dot payload, which is 1. Action dot payload. Okay. So, but now this is for the incrementing. This is for incrementing. So as you can see, we are testing it. As you can see, click on increment, it has incremented. So want to be able to do the decrementation as well. We want to be able to do the decrementation and the decrementing so that we reduce the value by 1. Alright, so that is it. So let's go ahead and decrement. So if we reload the page, this is gone, okay, because we are just storing it in memory. In the application, if you are working with the web, you want to store it in local storage or inside of your session cookies. So here is where you see your session cookies. You can see this is for our local storage, this is for the session, this is for the session storage, and this is for your cookies. In your application, this is where you store your data for easier retrieval when the page is refreshed. So I'm going to go ahead and just create the decrementing function, the decrementing. But first, let's go ahead and create our action. As always, say just give it whatever name you prefer in the name. The font is the argument parameter that you want to pass, the action, and an arrow function. This you just say our state.count, just be state.count minus action.payload, because we'll be passing same data. So go ahead and export it here, decrement with the structure way of exporting. So go ahead now and import it here. Wherever I want to use the decrement, so go ahead and create another function. So with the const variable, so say decrement handler. Alright, this will be an empty argument. They will be passing, let me just say value this time. Our value will be 1. We decrementing by 1, so we'll be dispatching the decrement as we have done it. So we passing the value. So we go ahead and set and on click to trigger for this. Then we passing the decrement. So the decrement handler, and it will push this. Okay, let's go ahead now and test it. Refresh the page. You have to make sure click on, you can see there with the comment, you can see it's working. You can see it's working fine. So one thing I want to do is that I want to be able to restrict the user if it has increment to higher number, positive number. Then if we click, we don't want to, once it gets to 0, we want to be able to like refuse the updates when we dispatch. So when we click on this, we will not be able to see -1, but instead we'll be seeing our regular value 0. So we will restrict the user from decrementing. So let's go ahead now, and it's easy, you can try it on your own. It's just to check, to run an if check on the condition. So we can say if our state.count, if it's equal to, let's say equal to 0, I'll be able to return so that an action will not be triggered. The action will be triggered, but it will not reach our action, the decrement action. Let's go ahead and test it. Reload. Okay, if you click, you can see it's not working. So let's reload again and increment first. You can see let's increment to figure 20. Okay, let's decrement now. So you can see we are decrementing by increment as well. As you can see, the value is going down, is decrementing by 1. When it gets to 0, stops decrementing. So you can see I'm clicking on it, I'm clicking on it. Okay, let's show you that I'm really clicking on it by console.log. Let's say decrement, so that you see that it's coming from the decrement function. I go ahead and refresh the page, click on increment, you can see. So when I'm decrementing, okay, decrementing, you can see 11 is still clicking on the function, but the update is not working because why? Of our if check. So we are able to fulfill these states. So I hope you understand everything in the user when we add, when we update, and when we delete with the help of Redux Slice, and we can also add more posts, and we can increment, we can increment, we can increment, and we can also decrement. Okay, thank you for watching. Glad to have you. See you next time. Bye bye. Bye.